Hey guys, welcome back to the Sweat Equity channel. This is the fourth and final video in the manual swap series on my 99 E36 323 IS. By the end of this video, I will be driving the car and I show my attempt at a POV drive. Yeah, it doesn't go so well. Please be sure to stay until the end for this. Enjoy! Alright guys, it's a few days later. We had the remnants of Hurricane Ian come through here, and it just rained for like 5 days straight, I think. I'm not complaining compared to what's been going on down south, but I didn't do a whole lot, although I did come out here a little bit. Transmission is back in the car. I started trying to put the starter back on the other day, but I stopped. I think I'm gonna make sure that the clutch is bled and hooked up first. There she is. If I can get this light to sit somewhere. All the bolts are in except for the starter. I think I need to snug up these 10 millimeters a little bit. It's got to bolt up the slave cylinder. And you know, I know a lot of you guys would already know this, but for those that don't, basically the way this system works is this is the slave cylinder. You have a hose and actually a metal line, but it doesn't matter. There's a hydraulic link between this cylinder, the slave cylinder, and the master cylinder, which is attached to the clutch pedal. And once you have everything, all the air bled out of the system, when you push on the clutch pedal, it moves the rod on the master cylinder in, and then that in turn, that movement is replicated down here. So when you push in the pedal, this shaft here pushes out, and it pushes against that arm inside of there, and that is what actually releases the clutch. So that's how that works. Very simple. Years ago this was done with a cable. They've now changed it to be a hydraulic system. So it works pretty much exactly how your brakes work. It even uses the same fluid as that. It's just a simpler, smaller, you know, it's only about 2 feet of hose between the two things as opposed to going to all the wheels and being a little more complicated like that. So I'm gonna get that hooked up. I do have the shifter, this shifter, the larger shifter rod is pushed into the new bushing right there. That's new. And there's a new bushing right up here on this pin that slides through, and then this here is just going to connect right to that. It's going to slide in through there, and then that will be connected. I have to put the transmission cross brace back in, which goes to these 4 bolts right here. The automatic one was back here, and these, I'm pretty sure that, well, obviously the transmission's way up here, so it's going to be up here further. The bolts, the hole is already there, and that's pretty much where I'm at. I just try to do a little bit each night, or if I'm off, I try to do a little bit here and there. The wire, this wire right here, is for the reverse lights. I think if the car was built with a manual, this would probably run up that way into a harness, but I'm just going to have it come right down through here, which is where the automatic shifter cable came down through. But this could get tangled up in the shifter, so I think I'm just gonna zip tie it to this, kind of up like that, as far out of the way as I can. And I think that'll be fine. I don't think it's going to get in the way of anything if I do that. I did hit this under here with some undercoating. So I just pulled down all that nasty stuff. Some of it kind of flaked away, but it's got a little extra protection on it. That's where I'm at right now. All right, so the cross braces are different. I guess I should have assumed that. This is the one from the automatic. This is the one from the manual. And I think actually they would sit like that because this little clip here for the O2 sensor, which I guess I just popped out of mine, they both come out this way. But even if you flip it around, the location of the mounts themselves I think are identical. So I'm going to put the mounts that I just replaced 2 years ago over here and, you know, use those. But otherwise it should just bolt right up. But yeah, that's one more thing that is going to be different, just because of the way, like, these are closer together than these are. All right, so I got the newer mounts swapped over. Which way does this go now? Like that? Yeah, I think so. So these are just, these nuts are already just kind of in there, loose. You can just slip them right in the back of the trans. And then I just need to jack the trans up. All right, so now I need to remove the jack. I still have a jack up there holding the front of the engine. I'm gonna pull that out now. I need to rock the whole assembly has to pivot now up, so it has to go about 2 or 3 inches here. All right. Something like that. I may end up having to bring this back down, I'm not sure. I want to get the clutch hooked up. It's pretty easy. I mean, I can just, you know, slip it back out. I'm not sure if I can get the starter bolts in with this all the way up. This will go right up in there, and then we can actually officially have pedals and the shifter installed in the car and have it function. Alright, the trans is officially installed. This car is officially a manual transmission car now. Yeah, so here's the starter, and there's this one little dowel that goes right there, and then there's the 2 bolts, one there and one right through there. But they come in from the other side. That's the whole reason I took the intake manifold off, is because even though I could get it unbolted, I couldn't separate the two. It was just stuck on the, I think it was stuck on that dowel. So I gotta get that wrestled back up in there. I can probably get the bolts started from up here, but I may not be able to get them tightened down without getting them from the other side, which would mean I'd have to lower the trans back down a little bit. Those bolts definitely are long. This is like one of the main trans bolts right here, but these are actually the ones from the manual trans. The automatic ones are even longer than that. So I don't think it really matters a whole lot which ones you use, because they're going to stick out a lot either way. Let's see if I can find the other ones. Oh, it is shorter. Huh. I thought yeah, so that's actually the one you should use. It doesn't matter, I don't think. I thought that I was using the ones from the manual though. No, I guess not. I guess I was using the ones that were from this car. So maybe I will swap those out. Damn it, that's annoying. I think the threads still ran down far. I mean, I didn't have any issues tightening it in there. I don't know, I'm not sure about that yet. I don't think I had any issues where they like bottomed out and, you know, I don't think I blew a hole in the side of the block or anything. I can't even see the other ones from up here. I'll check that out later if I can get the starter. I can just do like one at a time so the trans doesn't like move. But I'm gonna see if I can wrestle the starter in here now. Let's try to get the bolt caught. Okay, that bolt's caught. It's probably the easier of the two. I probably should put a new starter on this thing, but I'm not going to. They're like 150, 180 bucks by the time you have it shipped. And I mean, it's the kind of thing that, like, if you were daily driving it and you went in this far and you had a 23-year-old car, you'd probably go ahead and put a new starter in it, but I'm gonna do the right thing and not do that. Because you know, oh, nope, I guess that isn't caught. Thought that one was caught, but it's not. All right, I'm gonna wrestle with this. It's really not anything you can see anyway. And we'll come back. All right, so there's the two different bolts. The longer one being from the automatic and the shorter one being from the manual. I thought I had it right, but obviously I had it wrong. It is gonna stick out a little bit, but the threads do stop way up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one, the shorter one, in that bolt. I'm gonna go around and check the other ones. I can see the next one up towards the top, and it's just, you know, it's just maybe like a 1/4 inch sticking out from that. I'll see if I can show you, but I'm definitely gonna change this one because it's already out. And I do have the starter in. You kind of have to get the bolt on the driver's side of the starter started from up top, at least for me. Get in there, get that one started, run it in, you know, a good bit of the way, like halfway, something like that. And then get the dowel at least started on. It was hard for me to, like, I couldn't really just push it on all the way. But I got it where it was at least started. That way the bolt over on the passenger side of the starter is actually lined up. And then you go down below with your long extension and get that one caught by hand. You know, you're gonna put the bolt, you still have it down there. Put the bolt in the socket, snake it up in there, start twisting it by hand to get it caught. Then you can snug that one down, kind of go back and forth a little bit because you're kind of walking it on, because there is a little bit of resistance over that stud in the center. So kind of go back and forth a little bit till you get them all the way snug down. So here's another one of the longer bolts. You can see how this one, it sticks through pretty far. It's still going to stick through some. This is an easy one. I'll go ahead and swap this one over. But the one up here, I don't know if you can see this, it just sticks out a little bit. So I'm not going to worry about that one. And that's how the other one, there's two up there. There's one there, and there's one like at the other side of the block. You know, it's like the head is right above that. So it's like there and like 6 inches on the other side. But you can take my word for it. I could see that one from the top, and it's just sticking through about that much. So that's normal. I'm going to swap this one over, and then I just have to make sure all these little 10s are snug down. This one here, you can see it's sticking out a little bit. Those, turn the lid off. Those do run through. I'm not sure if those are a different length or not. None of them felt like they were binding up. You know, if you have a bolt that you run in, like, so for example, if there was like, you know, if this hole didn't go all the way through, like this was the end of the, like this was, so the bolt runs through, it threads in, but it doesn't have an open end to it. If you just ran a bolt that's too long in there, especially in aluminum, you're gonna just blast that right through if you're not careful, if you use like an impact or something like that. But if you're careful and you run a bolt and it's too long, you're gonna feel it. It's not gonna feel like, it's gonna get tight, but it's gonna have a different feel to it. And that's the kind of thing that just experience as a technician is gonna give you. You know, it's one of those, you know what that feels like if the bolt is getting to the end of a threaded hole and you still have some of the length, you know, like the head isn't seated here yet. That feels different from when this part of the bolt is getting tight right there, if that makes any sense. And I did not feel that. So I think these just all run through. In this case, it's gonna run through into the oil pan. So I don't think there's an issue there. But also you can tell like that looks normal, like the way that just sticks out just a little bit. looks normal to me. So I'm going to swap this bolt out and tighten the 10s up. And the transmission should be pretty much good to go. I do have to tighten these up here. I'll do that before I put the cross brace back on. Obviously, because that would be kind of in the way. All right, so we officially have pedals and a shifter in this former automatic car. So I did get a new shifter knob, I should say. This is just an eBay. It was like 15 bucks. This is heavier than this is. This is off of like a E90 or something. It's just, obviously it's a 6-speed. But this is really light. You know, this is nice leather. Excuse me. Nice leather one. I'm not gonna push this all the way on there because I have a feeling that this may only have like 1 or 2 good snug fits in it. But this one, just put it on there. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, reverse. And you know, I mean, like it before, this thing in the other car was just so sloppy. I mean, it's gonna go side to side, you know, but it's a much, it feels much better than it did before. Like I'm okay with that. I'm not racing with this car, you know. So that's in. It's shifting through the gears. The pedal obviously right now just goes right to the floor because there's no hydraulic pressure in that yet. So that'll be the next thing to do, is get that set up and bled, and yeah, moving right along. All right, so here we are at the brake master cylinder reservoir. This is our line that's coming up from the master cylinder inside of the car, and this needs to go on this nipple right here. Now, this being that it was originally the automatic, this little nipple is not open, so we just need to cut this last little end bit off, and it's gonna spill a little bit, but basically just cut that off and slip that on there. Now you can see the way they designed it. A lot of cars, especially I guess older cars, they have a separate little like a small separate reservoir that you put brake fluid in for your clutch. A lot of these newer cars do it this way, but of course, you know, where this is coming out of the reservoir is over halfway full. So if something happened to your clutch hydraulic system and all of the fluid leaked out, you're not going to lose your brakes because you still have, you know, a lot. Like this is actually pretty much at the minimum line on this reservoir. You're not going to lose your brakes if your clutch fails. It may, you know, be common sense, but it's just one of those things that you may never really thought about. So I'm going to see if I can get in here and cut this off. There we go, and there it goes. Let's get it on there. Okay. Get some pliers and push that up. Okay, that's pushed all the way up on there now, and then it should just gravity feed, that being the bleeder right there. And that is a tiny one. What is that? 7 or 8, I think. All right, it is a 7mm. Right now I just have it cracked open because we have to get some kind of fluid right there. It's just open right now. We need to get some kind of fluid coming through there. So I'm just going to kind of work the pedal. Oh yeah. There we go. Once we get something happen, I can kind of tighten it up. Let's see if we can get anything. Did I already lose my 7 wrench? Oh, there it is. You want to make sure you keep the brake fluid reservoir topped off too. This probably would be easier with 2 people, but I can almost reach both from the same spot. So I'm gonna try to do it. Like at first, I'm just gonna like work the pedal a few times and leave it down because it'll stay down right now because there's really no pressure in it, and then open it up. Yeah, see, right on my hand. Do that a few times. You can also let it gravity bleed too. Just leave the thing open until it just starts dripping out. The line right there holds it in place for me. Ow! That was a jack stand. All right, so you get the idea. I'm gonna keep doing this until we start having some kind of a pedal. So push the pedal, it comes back up. You kind of have to get yourself either another human being or a leaf blower pipe, whatever you want to call it, to shove between the seat and the pedal, because once you start feeling just a little bit of pressure at the very floor, like the first couple inches, but like when the pedal kind of wants to flop down to about where it starts building pressure, and then you're not really doing anything when you bleed it. So you got to have something that holds it all the way down, then open it up, and then you start actually getting a pedal. This is probably good. We'll see. I might just wait till my wife is home and have her just work this a few times. I'll just go under there and just bleed it like you'd be doing brakes. But it's actually, the more I pump it, it actually feels pretty good. But at least we have a pedal, you know? It might need a little bit more bleeding, but we've got a pedal, we got a shifter, we got a transmission. I mean, you know, who needs a drive shaft or a rear end? Well, I guess we do. All right, I think I'm done for tonight, but I'm happy with that. It's now dark outside. I think I got about 2 hours in it tonight. And I'll carry on tomorrow. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and replace the pinion seal on the differential. I actually got the wrong seal the first time. If you're at least buying this on Rock Auto, there was a couple of options. At least at the time of me doing it, it ended up being the bottom of, there was like 3 options. This was like the bottom one. The other 2, I don't know if I still, yeah. It was just completely wrong. And this one looks a little bit different, but it is at least the same diameter. And this actually was leaking, so I definitely wanted to make sure they replaced this. To get these off, you're gonna have to get a 30mm chrome socket like this. This is an OEM Tools 30mm. It will fit inside of there. If you just use like a regular, like, you know, you've probably got like a Harbor Freight set or something like that, like impact sockets with 30mm in it, it won't fit in there. So you have to buy this. That's the part number 22458A. It wasn't that expensive, I don't know, 15 bucks or something like that. But this works for this nut and also the output shaft seal on the transmission. It fit in there. This did have this little cover. I'm not really sure. I guess it was made a lock for the nut that you have to kind of pick out of there. I think I just used a flat head or something like that to get it out, and then you can actually get onto the nut and just kind of hit this with a punch or something on the backside to pull it off. Actually, you know what? I had to use I think with this I actually did have to use, I spilled oil, so that's why everything is oily. Use one of these pullers on this, but like I was able just to turn it by hand. So you probably could use something else, but depending on your application or the condition of your car, this might be harder to get off. But it's off. We need to get this seal out. There's several ways you can pull a seal like this out. Like, it's going to be very similar for the side seals, which I've already replaced. Super easy. You literally can just pop these side axle, like they literally just pop out that easily, and then you can just get right in there. You pull it all the way out, And the axle seals are right in there. You're going to take them out pretty much the same way that you're going to do this one. I have already done those. And they go back in, you just put the, just like that. This, you can either take something like a screwdriver, and you just want to be careful that you're not marring up the sealing surface here, or really anything, you know, you don't want to mess up the splines, but you want to try to get it somewhere in the middle. And I don't know if this is going to work or not for this. It's bending it up, but it's not taking it out. I need something a little stronger. I have like a small pry bar, but I can't find it. I think it's coming a little bit. Probably go around and do a few places, but the other method you can do is you can screw a self-tapping screw somewhere in the middle of it. You could like screw the self-tapper in and then just grab the screw with some vice grips and pop it out that way. See if we can get this on another side. There it goes. So you get it popped out, and you just want to make sure that, you know, the area that it seals on doesn't get, you know, you don't want to mess anything up, obviously. It looks pretty good in there. I mean, hopefully this differential will not make any noise. I know that it at least works, but it looks really clean in there. Haven't found any indication yet that this drivetrain was abused, which is nice. And then you just take the new one, and you know, of course, this little lip right here is what actually seals on this, which I got a little crud on there. I gotta clean that up a little bit. You just put it down, try to get it kind of started, and you just kind of tap it all the way around. You gotta get it started first. That's probably the trickiest part. And this one was pretty much just flush with that outer ring of the diff. So you don't want to, you want to try not to go too far. But in this case, you can kind of tap it to where you're hitting against this. You can kind of hear it change pitch a little bit. And that is it. That is installed. So before I took this off, I put marks, because there's actually a preload on this that preloads the bearing. And so I put like a little use like a punch and punch it there and there, and I think right here, and then try to line everything up. And that means that I gotta take this back off again. Chipping my paint a little bit. But you can see you can tap it off, at least in this case. So I'm gonna just line all the marks up. You can push that all the way down to where it kind of seats. You don't have to worry too much about it. Yeah, so you see like right there it's snug, and we're here, and we got to bring it over to here. So I have this mark and the mark on the shaft lined up. So this mark on the nut, I just turn it to where it's snug, and we just need to so close. All right, I'm gonna get the compressor going and just make sure that those line up, and then you should have your bearing preload back where it was originally. I'm gonna go ahead and do the gear oil service on the differential while it's still out. I have not drained this thing yet. I'm going to be using Mobil 1 75W90. That's what it calls for. Biggest reason why I'm doing it here is because when it's in the car, I think it's like the spare tire hump is like right here, and I've actually modified my 14mm Allen socket to do that, because you definitely can't get any kind of a socket or breaker bar on this. I don't even think it was easy just to get the whole socket in there, so I ended up just taking it apart and then just put a 14mm wrench on this to break it loose. But we're just going to do it this way and make sure it taps in all the way. See if I can unmodify my socket a little bit. Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't really want to go back in that easily, but it'll probably be okay. I always recommend you take the top one out first, and the reason for that is if you take the bottom one out and you drain it, then you go to take the top one out, and for whatever reason you strip it out, or it's seized, or whatever. Well, now you've got an empty diff, and now you're in a situation where you can't drive the car. It's better to have the old dirty fluid in there than no fluid at all. So I always start taking the top off first. Let's see if I can do this without, yeah. Oop, don't drop it. Nothing too disgusting, and keep them in the same orientation. Put the top one back in the top, bottom one back in the bottom. I forget if they look different or not. I don't know if that's a magnet or not. If it is a magnet, there's no metal on it, so that's always good. In this case, the bottom one doesn't want to come. There we go. And this way I can also really drain it completely by tipping it up. But to fill it, you want it to be level. Well, it has oil in there, but it was definitely a little bit lower. Ugh. That's not so bad. There's no Legos or twigs or anything coming out of it. You're going to be able to get more of it out this way. And I think it just takes just a little bit over 1 quart. So I guess theoretically you could almost do kind of a flush. It's probably a good idea to change these plugs, but I'm not going to. Or at least to get the washers on. I think if you go on FCP Euro, you can get a service kit, and it'll come with new drain plugs, drain and fill plugs. I might just kind of douse it out with some brake clean. Just get as much out as we can. But again, it doesn't look bad, so. I mean, it looked like it needed to be changed, but it doesn't look like it was, really bad. Oh no, that was a rookie mistake. Just lost my straw in there. No. Yeah, you should always hold the straw of something like this, or just not do that to begin with. sure it's not going to hurt anything. It's just a little plastic straw, but edit. Well, what do I do now? Do I leave it? Do I take the back cover off? All right, I guess I'll figure out what I'm going to do. All right, so I really made a stupid mistake, but guess what? There it is. There it is. I got it out. So don't do that. There's really no need for any of all that. But yeah, the gears look nice and clean in there. But this way, you know, you can really just, you can just spray up in there, get all the crud off. You can tilt it all the way up, let everything drain out, you know. Is it needed? Probably not. Save enough to clean these off. This way we're getting everything out of there. You could just take the back cover off, you know, and then reseal that, but I don't have that gasket. I'm not sure what they actually use for it. If it is a gasket or if it's like an RTV kind of a thing. Okay, got it all out. Put the bottom one back in. If these leak, it's not going to be that hard just to go in there and, I mean, you're going to end up replacing the fluid again, but probably isn't that bad anyway. And this way we can just pour these in without having to. I wonder if I have any fancy stuff to put in here. I do. I've got this fancy BG multi-gear concentrate. BG MGC is a thermally stable, technically advanced gear oil supplement designed for use in all types of standard automotive transmission, transfer case, and gear applications. Add 10% to gear lubricant. Oh, it's still sealed too. Oh, I wasn't putting anything in. I hadn't taken the seal off of it yet. Jesus. God, such an idiot. All right, let me get a little bit of this flowing in to make room for that. I'll tell you what, we're gonna have this tilted back a little bit. All right, a little bit in there. I'll dump this. BG Products is really only used at the dealer, as far as I know. I don't think they sell to anywhere else, but it is pretty good stuff. I've never had any kind of issues with using any of their flushes or any of that kind of stuff. It usually seems like they work pretty well, and they seem to try to care about making their products better, improving them over time. As far as I'm concerned, it's good. It's not sponsored or anything like that. I have it, I'm gonna use it. So we'll just fill it up here, and then I'll put it back to where it's level and let it run out. Because you don't want to overfill a gearbox like this, whether it's a transmission or a differential, because there has to be airspace in there so you don't basically have too much pressure in the inside of there. If it's just completely full, as it expands from heat, you know, you're going to be blowing out seals and stuff like that. The right amount is good, more is not better. But this way, by having it tilted back, we can make sure we get a little bit more than enough, and then we can let it trickle out. In the transmission, I'm actually using, I'll show you here in a second, it's Redline MTL fluid. These transmissions, the manuals, they have a sticker on the side. If it's yellow, then you use the MTL manual transmission lube, I guess is what that means. But some of them use automatic transmission fluid. I think it's an orange label. So you got to make sure you get the right fluid for your transmission. Let's see what we got here now if I put this straight. Yeah, see? You're just about perfect. That is straight. It's right there, ready to come out. So I'll just put a little bit more. It's a little bit overfilled, it's okay. Like a hair. And I'm gonna call that good. Torqued. There's not much left in that. About 12 ounces left of 32. So yeah, I guess you do use almost 2 quarts. Especially consider I put, this was 6 ounces. So you do use almost the 2 quarts, it looks like. All right, so the gearbox is serviced. I'm sorry, the differential. I mean, it has gears, I guess it's the gearbox. This right here is actually the speed sensor. This is where the speedometer gets its signal, or I guess the computer gets its signal for the vehicle speed. It doesn't get it from the transmission, it gets it from the differential. This here is what I'm using for the transmission itself. It is a 7580. That's the part number right there. I think I got this off of Amazon. I think that was the cheapest I found. It was on Amazon. 2 quarts. Went ahead and got the rest of the drivetrain installed in the car. Differential is in, drive shaft is in, all that stuff is bolted up and ready to go. So I'd say at this point, as long as everything works properly, the manual swap is technically done. The differential, the way to get this in with just minimal tools, you know, a jack, like a regular floor jack like I've been using, you just kind of get it towards the back of it, like just set it on, here's my jack right here, just set, you know, kind of that part on the jack. You start lifting it up while you're holding it, you know, kind of balancing it on there. Lift it up high enough to where you can get the nose of it through here, and just kind of keep working your way up there so you get it, you know, up through that. It's not that difficult. Drive shaft pretty much just goes right in, no real problem there. Okay, y'all, I've been working a little bit more on the car. As you can see right there, the exhaust is back on. I did that last night. I got all the little shields back on underneath. I just have to connect the O2 sensors right there, and just kind of zip tie up. I'm not going to cut off those old automatic transmission wires. I don't see any point. I'm just going to, at least for now, I'm just going to zip tie them up, and they're going to be up under this cover right here, which needs to go back on. I just need to get this thing running under its own power, get it out of here, clean up everything, and then I'll pull it back in and tidy up the last few little things, put the interior back together, the cowl, that kind of stuff. I just need to make sure this thing works and see what major issues we're going to have. Today is going to be putting the intake back on. It's just a nightmare. I mean, it really kind of, the way that this thing goes, and I've just been dreading this all week. I ended up replacing all 4 of these coolant hoses back here. My mother-in-law will be very proud of me because well, it's one of her things. I think one time, years and years ago, she had like a coolant bypass hose. I think she always calls it, burst in the middle of the desert in Texas or something. And so in the back of her head, coolant hoses being replaced is always very important. And these were definitely need to be replaced. I did that since it's kind of behind the intake, and I figured for about 40 bucks I'd go ahead and just knock those out. I'll put the parts, there's 4 hoses there, I'll put the part numbers up here on the screen or something in case you would want to do that. But I had to come out here fresh in the morning, not like an evening after work, to put this back together, because I would just forget something for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, get this thing, the engine buttoned up to where we can try to start it, go from there. All right, guys, I've got it together enough that I can attempt to start it and attempt to see if the clutch, the trans, all that stuff actually works. There's a lot of miscellaneous stuff that need to be put back on the car, but I just need to give it a try. I just reconnected the battery. You know, there's fluid and everything. So we're gonna just give it a try. I should not actually need to push the clutch pedal down just yet. I don't hear any crazy noises from anything, man. That's good. Try reverse. Reverse lights came on, so that works. There we go. Alright, well, I'm happy with that. Like, legitimately happy. It's been, like, I don't know how long it's been, a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. But goes through all the gears. I got those 2 warning lights on. I'll figure that out, or take the bulbs out. I don't know. I think I have to take the bulb out for the transmission light, because, you know, it's not going to have that anymore. I need to bleed the cooling system, because I have replaced, I replaced the hoses in the back. Got some smoke coming off of it right now, but that's normal. I don't have any air filter on or anything. It's just kind of, you know, chilling. I'm just using this stuff right now because that's what's in there. Eventually, I will redo the radiator and the whole cooling system, but right now, I'm just going to go with what it has. It hasn't bled down at all yet. A little lifter tap, that should go away. Well, now I'm probably gonna make a mess here. Probably need to open that bleeder on there. I've never done anything with the cooling system on this car, ever. Besides just top it off a little bit. I know it's terrible, but I was like, it works. I just wanted to leave well enough alone. Still rev it from out here, I think. On the fan. I may end up lowering the back down so that it'll help bleed the air up to the front. This will be the absolute highest point of the whole system. One thing that you definitely do not want to do with these engines is overheat them. There's, from what I understand, zero forgiveness. I'm going to go ahead and lower the back down off the jack stands. Try to help with this bleeding process. Alright, I've got the ass end down on the ground. So now this right here is theoretically the highest point. So your heater core is back there. That should be lower. So the bubbles are going to work their way up to the front. A little bit easier at least. Alright, we do have heat coming out of the vents now. As long as the heat is continually staying there, they should be okay. At least we know we have coolant in the whole system. I think it's pretty good. Alright, can I drive it out of there? I got this parts car still sitting right here, but I pulled it in there like that, so let's see what we can do. Alright guys, it just moved under its own power. And it had reverse too. Not sure. That was impressive. Not sure what that little oil spot is, but it moves.
That was impressive, and you got it out of the garage without moving the other one.
Well, I pulled it in without doing that too.
Like, please tell me the brakes are gonna work.
Oh no, the brakes are fine.
I don't know. I was just like, uh-oh. It might have just died.
I got what I need to get, you know?
Yeah.
Let's see, so I had reverse obviously works. can't roll my windows over right now.
Huh?
I can't roll my windows over. I don't know where the switches are.
Oh shit. You need to get back in, I guess? Oh.
I'll find it. All of them. Oh, it's probably in the back seat. All right, guys, there she is. It moved under its own power, and I will clean this mess up, get it back in, and just kind of do some final buttoning up. All right, guys, it's been a little bit since the swap has been done. I'm gonna do, it's a kind of a dreary day, but I'm gonna do a little drive with it. Do a, reasonably cold start. The engine has a much smoother start now since I did the injector rebuild. Put the frost on here. Let me. Cleared it up pretty quickly. I have the transmission warning light is still on because I have not removed the bulb for that yet. The check engine light is on. For some reason it's showing, I forget what the code was, but it's basically looking for the transmission computer even though I removed the EEPROM chip. So I had to figure that out. But I've done about my odometer's a little bit pixelated, but I'm pretty sure that would be 238 932, so about 600 miles I've put on it so far, and it actually is running pretty much perfectly. So I'm gonna turn the lights on because it's raining, and we'll do a little drive here. I'm gonna basically just drive until the battery runs out of my GoPro. I think we'll just have to see what we deal with here today. It's a Wednesday, so it should be a whole lot of traffic. There you go. Not work. Yeah, I've never done filming in a car before, as you can probably tell.